Last week was supposed to be the happiest day of my life. At 31 years old, I was ready to marry Alex, 35, the man I'd loved deeply for 3 years. Our relationship had its ups and downs, but we always managed to find our way back to each other. When Alex proposed at the end of last year, it felt like a fairy tale. We spent months meticulously planning our dream wedding, ensuring every detail was perfect. I even took a month off work to focus on the preparations, from the food and drinks to the music and guest list. However, our perfect day turned into a nightmare that left me broken and questioning everything. The first sign of trouble came a few weeks before the wedding. Alex came home one evening looking upset. I thought he might be getting cold feet, but when I asked, he hesitated before revealing that his ex-girlfriend Hannah had reached out, asking if she could attend the wedding. Hannah and Alex were high school sweethearts, and their breakup when Alex left for college had been tough on her. In the early days of our relationship, she'd often text him from different numbers and call late at night, refusing to accept that Alex had moved on. Eventually, Alex blocked her, and we hadn't heard from her in 2 years. So when Alex told me about Hannah's request, I was surprised and uneasy. He assured me he would handle it, and I trusted him. Days passed without incident until the day of the wedding arrived. I was in my gown, ready to walk down the aisle, when I heard a commotion. My maid of honor rushed over to inform me that an uninvited guest was causing a scene. My heart sank when I saw Hannah, dressed provocatively and shouting at the top of her lungs. She stormed towards the altar, bridesmaids trying to hold her back, but she was relentless. As she approached, she screamed that Alex needed to tell me the truth or she would. Alex stood there looking like he'd seen a ghost. He remained silent, and I felt humiliated and betrayed. I pulled him aside, demanding an explanation. He tried to downplay the situation, saying Hannah just wanted to wish us well, but I didn't buy it. My best friend Denise came over and whispered that Hannah had told her Alex had spent the night with her just last week. The look on Alex's face confirmed it all. At that moment, everything shattered. The man I loved had betrayed me, and our dream wedding turned into a public spectacle. I walked out, tears streaming down my face, while Alex tried to explain and apologize. My parents stepped in, threatening him and telling him to stay away. The wedding was over, and so was our relationship. The following days were a blur of tears and heartache. Instead of enjoying my honeymoon, I found myself alone in the home Alex and I had decorated together. Friends and family tried to support me, but I felt lost and broken. Alex kept trying to contact me, but I ignored his calls and texts. The betrayal was too much to bear. As I sat in my room, I couldn't help but question everything. Did I overreact? Should I have seen this coming? Some friends thought I should confront Alex and give him a chance to explain, but I couldn't bring myself to do it. The pain was too raw, and the trust was shattered. I turned to social networks, hoping to find some solace and advice from strangers who might understand my plight. The days following the disastrous wedding were some of the darkest of my life. I barely slept or ate, my mind consumed with questions and doubts. How had I not seen the signs? Was I so blind to Alex's betrayal? Every time my phone rang, I hoped it wasn't him, but part of me still wanted answers. I couldn't bear to listen to his apologies, yet the silence was maddening. Denise stayed with me, her presence a small comfort in my misery. She had always been my rock, and now more than ever I needed her strength. She reminded me that I wasn't alone, and that it was okay to feel broken. Despite her efforts, I couldn't shake the feeling of humiliation and betrayal. The wedding, which should have been the happiest day of my life, was now a nightmare that haunted my every waking moment. A few days later, I received a friend request on Facebook from Hannah. My hands trembled as I read the message. I hope to celebrate Alex and your happiness. Can we put it all behind us? The sheer audacity of her words infuriated me. She had ruined my wedding and now had the nerve to pretend she wanted to make amends. I blocked her without responding, hoping that would be the end of it, but it wasn't. Alex continued to reach out, leaving voicemails and sending texts, begging for a chance to explain. He claimed it was all a misunderstanding, that he was drunk and it meant nothing. I wanted to believe him, but Denise showed me the pictures Hannah had shared. They were undeniable proof of Alex's infidelity. My heart ached with each image, the pain almost too much to bear. In an attempt to distract myself, I threw myself into cleaning and packing. I couldn't stay in the house we had shared. It was filled with memories of our life together, memories that now felt tainted. With Denise's help, I started looking for a new place to live, somewhere far from the constant reminders of what I had lost. One evening, as I sorted through our wedding gifts, I found a small box tucked away at the back of a cupboard. Inside was a delicate necklace with a note from Alex. "For my bride, on our wedding day, I love you more than words can say." The tears came uncontrollably then, the pain and sadness overwhelming me. How could he have said those words while betraying me so completely? Amid this emotional turmoil, my parents stepped in to help. They changed the locks on my doors and made sure Alex couldn't come near me. They were furious with him, their protective instincts kicking in. My father even threatened legal action if Alex didn't leave me alone. For the first time in days, I felt a small measure of safety. Despite their support, I couldn't shake the feeling of paranoia. Every noise, every shadow felt like a threat. My anxiety spiraled, and I found it hard to leave the house. I knew I needed help, so I started seeing a therapist. Talking about my feelings, my anger, and my pain helped me begin to process everything. The therapist reminded me that it was okay to grieve and that healing would take time. Friends and family rallied around me, their support a lifeline. Denise organized small gatherings, trying to lift my spirits, but each day was a battle. The wounds were fresh, and the betrayal felt too deep. Still, their presence reminded me that I wasn't alone, that there was a path forward, even if it was difficult to see. One day, as I was scrolling through my messages, I came across a text from one of our mutual friends, Greg. He had always been kind and supportive, and his message was no different. "Hey, just checking in. I heard about everything. If you need anything, I'm here." His words, simple yet sincere, brought a small comfort. I replied, thanking him and acknowledging that I was struggling but trying to move forward. The next few weeks were a blur of therapy sessions, packing boxes, and trying to rebuild my life. I had good days and bad moments of strength and periods of intense sadness. Through it all, Denise and my family never wavered in their support. Slowly, I began to see a glimmer of hope, a faint light at the end of the tunnel. The inciting incident shattered my world, but it also set me on a path of self-discovery and healing. I was determined to find my way through the darkness, to rebuild my life one step at a time. I knew it wouldn't be easy, but with the love and support of those around me, I believed I could eventually find peace. As the weeks passed, I gradually began to reclaim some semblance of normalcy in my life. Therapy sessions became a crucial part of my routine, providing a safe space to explore my emotions and begin the long process of healing. My therapist encouraged me to confront my feelings of betrayal and to understand that it wasn't my fault. Slowly, I started to accept that Alex's actions were a reflection of his flaws, not mine. Denise remained my steadfast companion, helping me navigate the emotional roller coaster. She suggested we take a short trip to clear my mind and create some new, positive memories. We decided on a weekend getaway to a small, peaceful town a few hours away. The change of scenery was refreshing, and for the first time in what felt like forever, I found myself laughing and enjoying the moment. Back home, I threw myself into finding a new apartment. Moving out of the house I had shared with Alex was a painful but necessary step. Each box I packed felt like a small victory, a step towards reclaiming my independence. Denise and my parents helped me with the move, and we made it an event, sharing stories and laughter to lighten the mood. During this period, I also began reconnecting with friends. Some had distanced themselves after the wedding fiasco, unsure of how to approach me. Others, like Greg, had been quietly supportive. I reached out to him, and we arranged to meet for coffee. Our conversation was a welcome distraction, and it felt good to talk about something other than my heartbreak. Greg shared his own experiences of dealing with a difficult breakup, offering advice and a listening ear. His empathy and understanding were comforting, and our friendship began to grow stronger. He reminded me that it was okay to lean on others and that healing was a process that took time. One evening, Denise and I were watching a movie when my phone buzzed with a text from Alex. "Can we talk? Just once, please." My heart raced as I read the message. Part of me wanted to hear him out, to understand why he had done what he did. But the other part of me, the part that had started to heal, knew that reopening that wound would only bring Mo. I turned to Denise, seeking her advice. She took my phone and deleted the message without a second thought. "You don't need that in your life right now," she said firmly. "He made his choices, and now you need to make yours." Her unwavering support gave me the strength to move forward, to focus on my well-being rather than dwelling on the past. As I settled into my new apartment, I found comfort in creating a space that was entirely my own. I decorated it with items that brought me joy and filled it with the warmth of new beginnings. Each day was a small step towards building a life that didn't revolve around Alex or the pain he had caused. My parents continued to be a pillar of support. My father, in particular, was a source of strength, reminding me that I was worthy of love and respect. He had always been a man of few words, but his actions spoke volumes. He would visit often, helping with small repairs in the apartment and bringing me my favorite meals. His quiet presence was a constant reminder that I was not alone. In my therapy sessions, I began exploring my future goals and dreams. I'd always wanted to start my own business, something creative and fulfilling. My therapist encouraged me to pursue this dream, to use it as a way to channel my energy and rebuild my confidence. The idea of starting a new venture excited me and gave me a sense of purpose. As the weeks turned into months, I noticed a gradual shift in my perspective. The pain was still there, but it was no longer all-consuming. I started to see glimpses of a future that was bright and full of possibilities. I realized that I had the strength to overcome this heartbreak, rebuild my life, and find happiness on my terms. One particularly poignant moment came during a visit to my therapist. She asked me to write a letter to Alex, not to send, but to express everything I had felt and everything I wanted to say. The exercise was cathartic, allowing me to release the anger, sadness, and disappointment I had been holding on to. I poured my heart into that letter, and when I finished, I felt a sense of closure. With each passing day, I grew stronger. I reconnected with old hobbies, rediscovering the joy of painting and writing. These creative outlets became a form of therapy, allowing me to express my emotions healthily and productively. I also started taking yoga classes, which helped me find balance and peace within myself. Greg and I continued to grow closer, our friendship deepening with each passing week. He was a constant source of support, always knowing when to offer a kind word or a listening ear. One evening, as we sat in a cozy cafe, he looked at me and said, "You're stronger than you think, Emma. Don't let this define you. Let it be the beginning of something beautiful." His words resonated deeply, and I began to see the truth in them. I had survived a devastating betrayal, but it had not broken me. Instead, it had revealed a strength I never knew I possessed. I was ready to move forward, to embrace the future with hope and resilience. The rising action of my story was filled with challenges and heartache, but it was also a time of growth and self-discovery. I learned to lean on those who loved me, to find strength in my resilience, and to embrace the possibilities of a new beginning. The path ahead was still uncertain, but for the first time I felt ready to face it head-on. The turning point came unexpectedly, on an otherwise ordinary day. It had been several months since the wedding that never was, and I had settled into a routine that brought me a sense of stability. I was focusing on my new business venture, which was slowly taking shape. The process was challenging but fulfilling, and for the first time in a long while, I felt a sense of purpose. One afternoon, while working on a project in my apartment, I received an unexpected call from Denise. "Emma, you need to come to the cafe right now. It's important," she said, her voice urgent. I grabbed my coat and hurried out, my mind racing with possibilities. When I arrived, Denise was sitting at a table with Greg, both looking serious. My heart pounded as I approached, unsure of what to expect. Denise reached out and took my hand. "Emma, we need to tell you something," she began, her eyes filled with concern. Greg took a deep breath and continued. "Alex is back in town. and he's been trying to contact you through mutual friends. He claims he has something important to tell you, something that he thinks might change everything." My stomach churned at the mention of Alex's name. I had worked so hard to put him behind me, and the thought of facing him again filled me with dread. But there was also a small part of me that wanted to know what he had to say, to finally close this chapter for good. Denise squeezed my hand. "You don't have to see him if you don't want to, but we thought you should know. We're here for you no matter what you decide." I took a moment to collect my thoughts, then nodded. "I need to do this. I need to hear him out, if only to get the closure I deserve." Later that evening, I agreed to meet Alex at a public park, a place where I felt safe. As I walked towards the meeting spot, my heart raced with a mixture of anxiety and determination. I spotted Alex sitting on a bench, looking somber and lost in thought. He stood up as I approached, his eyes filled with regret. "Emma, thank you for coming. I know I don't deserve your time, but I needed to see you to explain." I crossed my arms, keeping my distance. "You have 5 minutes, Alex. Make it count." He took a deep breath and began to speak. "I know I hurt you deeply, and I can't undo what I've done, but there are things you don't know, things I kept from you because I was ashamed. When I saw Hannah at that party months before the wedding, she told me she was pregnant. She claimed the baby was mine, and I panicked." My heart skipped a beat. "Pregnant? What are you talking about? Hannah and I had a brief fling before I met you, and she insisted the timing matched. I didn't know what to do. I was scared and confused, and she threatened to tell you everything if I didn't let her come to the wedding. I thought I could handle it, but everything spiraled out of control." I felt a wave of anger and disbelief. "So you lied to me, betrayed me, and ruined our wedding because you were too scared to tell the truth?" Alex nodded, tears in his eyes. "I was a coward, Emma. I didn't want to lose you, but I ended up losing you anyway. Hannah was never pregnant. She confessed after the wedding fiasco. It was all a lie to manipulate me." The revelation hit me like a ton of bricks. The depth of Hannah's deceit and Alex's weakness was staggering. "And you never thought to come clean? To trust me with the truth?" He looked down, ashamed. "I was afraid you'd leave me, and I didn't know how to handle it. I see now that I should have been honest with you from the start. I'm so sorry, Emma. I know I can't make things right, but I needed you to know the truth." I took a deep breath, trying to process everything. The anger and betrayal were still there, but so was a sense of closure. Alex's confession didn't change the past, but it gave me the clarity I needed to move forward. "I appreciate you telling me, Alex," I said finally, "but this doesn't change anything. You broke my trust in the worst possible way, and there's no going back from that. I hope you find a way to learn from this and become a better person, but I need to move on with my life." He nodded, tears streaming down his face. "I understand, and I respect your decision. I wish you nothing but happiness, Emma." As I walked away from Alex, I felt a strange sense of relief. The confrontation, while painful, had given me the closure I needed. I had faced my past and emerged stronger, ready to embrace the future without the weight of unresolved questions. That night, I called Denise and Greg to thank them for their support. "I'm done with Alex," I told them. "I have my closure, and I'm ready to move on." They cheered me on, their voices filled with pride and relief. "We knew you could do it, Emma. You're stronger than you realize," Denise said. With the climax of my story behind me, I felt a renewed sense of determination. The road to healing was still long, but I was ready to take the next steps. I had faced my fears, confronted my past, and emerged stronger on the other side. The future was mine to shape, and I was ready to embrace it with open arms. After my confrontation with Alex, I felt an incredible weight lift off my shoulders. The truth, as painful as it was, had set me free. I was no longer shackled by unanswered questions and lingering doubts. I had my closure, and with it, the strength to move forward. In the weeks that followed, I focused on myself and my future. My new business venture, a small online boutique specializing in handcrafted jewelry, became my primary focus. Designing and creating unique pieces was therapeutic, a way to channel my emotions into something beautiful and meaningful. The support from friends and family, as well as the growing interest from customers, fueled my determination to succeed. Denise and Greg remained by my side, their unwavering support a constant source of comfort. Denise, ever the planner, helped me organize a small launch party for the boutique. It was a modest affair, but it marked a significant milestone in my journey towards rebuilding my life. Surrounded by friends and loved ones, I felt a sense of pride and accomplishment that I hadn't felt in a long time. One evening, as Denise and I sat in my new apartment, she brought up the idea of taking a trip together. "You've been through so much, Emma. I think it's time for a real break, a chance to recharge and find some peace. What do you say?" The idea of getting away, exploring new places, and making new memories was incredibly appealing. "Where should we go?" I asked, excitement bubbling up inside me. "How about a beach town? Somewhere warm and sunny where we can relax and just enjoy life," Denise suggested. After some research, we settled on a charming coastal town known for its beautiful beaches and vibrant art scene. It was the perfect destination for a fresh start. The anticipation of the trip gave me something to look forward to, a beacon of light in the aftermath of so much darkness. The day finally arrived, and as we boarded the plane, I felt a mixture of excitement and nervousness. This trip symbolized a new chapter in my life, a chance to leave the past behind and embrace the future with hope and optimism. When we arrived, the sight of the ocean and the warm sun on my skin filled me with a sense of serenity I hadn't felt in months. Denise and I spent our days exploring the town, lounging on the beach, and indulging in delicious local cuisine. We visited art galleries, attended live music performances, and even took a few spontaneous dance lessons. Each moment was a reminder that life could be beautiful and joyful, even after heartbreak. One evening, as we watched the sunset over the ocean, Denise turned to me with a smile. "You seem so much lighter, Emma. I'm so proud of how far you've come." I smiled back, feeling a deep sense of gratitude. "Thank you, Denise. I couldn't have done it without you. This trip has been exactly what I needed." During our vacation, I also found time to reflect on my journey. I realized that while Alex's betrayal had been devastating, it had also taught me valuable lessons about resilience, self-worth, and the importance of surrounding myself with supportive people. I had grown stronger, more independent, and more determined to live a life true to myself. When we returned home, I felt rejuvenated and ready to tackle whatever came next. My business continued to grow, and I found joy in the creative process and the connections I made with customers. I also reconnected with old hobbies, joining a local painting class and participating in community events. Each new experience was a step towards rebuilding my life and rediscovering my passions. Greg and I remained close friends, our bond deepening over shared experiences and mutual support. He had become an integral part of my support system, always there with a kind word or a listening ear. One evening, as we sat in a cafe discussing our latest adventures, he looked at me thoughtfully. "Emma, you've come so far. I'm proud of you. And I have to say, you inspire me to be a better person." His words touched my heart, and I smiled warmly. "Thank you, Greg. Your friendship means the world to me. I'm so grateful for everything you've done." As the days turned into weeks, I continued to focus on my personal growth and well-being. I set new goals for my business, explored new hobbies, and nurtured my relationships with friends and family. The pain of the past was still there, but it no longer defined me. Instead, it had become a part of my story, a testament to my strength and resilience. The falling action of my journey was marked by healing and self-discovery. I had faced my fears, confronted my past, and emerged stronger. With each passing day, I grew more confident and more hopeful about the future. The support of loved ones, the pursuit of my passions, and the embrace of new experiences helped me find my way back to happiness. I knew that the road ahead would still have its challenges, but I was ready to face them with courage and optimism. I had learned to trust myself, to value my worth, and to embrace the possibilities that lay before me. My story was far from over, and I was excited to see what the next chapter would bring. As the months went by, I found myself increasingly at peace with the events that had once shattered my world. My business continued to flourish, gaining recognition and a loyal customer base. The creative outlet it provided was a constant source of joy and fulfillment, and each piece of jewelry I crafted felt like a small victory. One evening, as I was closing up my shop, I received an unexpected visitor. It was Hannah. Her presence initially sent a wave of anxiety through me, but I quickly composed myself. "What are you doing here?" I asked, my voice steady but guarded. Hannah looked nervous, her usual bravado absent. "Emma, I know I'm the last person you want to see, but I needed to apologize. I've been going through a lot of therapy and self-reflection, and I realized how much damage I caused. I'm truly sorry for what I did." Her words caught me off guard. I had imagined this moment countless times, always filled with anger and confrontation, but now, seeing her vulnerable and remorseful, I felt a strange sense of closure. "Thank you, Hannah," I said, choosing my words carefully. "I appreciate your apology. What you did hurt me deeply, but I'm moving on with my life. I hope you find peace too." She nodded, tears in her eyes. "I hope so too. Take care, Emma." With that, she left, and I felt a sense of finality wash over me. The chapter with Hannah and Alex was truly over, and I was ready to fully embrace my future. My relationship with Greg also took an unexpected turn. Over time, our friendship blossomed into something deeper. We had shared so much, and his unwavering support had been a pillar of strength for me. One evening, as we sat in the cafe where so many of our important conversations had taken place, Greg reached across the table and took my hand. "Emma, I know this might seem sudden, but I've realized that I have feelings for you. I care about you deeply, and I want to be more than just a friend. What do you think?" His words filled me with warmth and a sense of rightness. I had grown to trust and rely on Greg in ways I hadn't with anyone else since Alex. "Greg, I've been feeling the same way," I admitted, a smile spreading across my face. "I'd like to see where this goes." Our relationship began slowly, with both of us wary of rushing into anything too quickly. But as time passed, it became clear that what we had was special. Greg's kindness, patience, and genuine love for me helped heal the last remnants of my broken heart. Together, we built a foundation of trust and mutual respect, and our bond only grew stronger. I continued my therapy, working through the lingering effects of my past trauma. Each session brought new insights and a deeper understanding of myself. I learned to forgive, not just Alex and Hannah, but also myself. I forgave myself for not seeing the signs, for feeling weak, and for all the things I had blamed myself for. It was a liberating experience, and it allowed me to move forward with a lighter heart. Denise, ever the supportive friend, celebrated each milestone with me. Whether it was a significant achievement in my business or a personal breakthrough in therapy, she was always there with a kind word and a celebratory toast. Her unwavering support had been instrumental in my healing, and I was grateful beyond words. As the year came to a close, I reflected on how far I had come. From the devastation of a ruined wedding to the flourishing of my business and the deepening of my relationships, I had transformed my life. The pain and betrayal that once defined me were now just parts of my story, chapters that had shaped me but did not control me. One sunny afternoon, Greg and I took a walk along the beach, the same beach town where Denise and I had found solace months earlier. As we strolled hand in hand, Greg stopped and looked at me with a smile. "Emma, you've come so far. I'm so proud of you, and I'm honored to be a part of your journey." Tears of happiness filled my eyes. "Thank you, Greg. I couldn't have done it without you, Denise, and my family. You all mean the world to me." He hugged me tightly, and as I looked out at the ocean, I felt an overwhelming sense of gratitude. Life had thrown me a curveball, but I had found the strength to rise above it. I had discovered the power of resilience, the importance of self-worth, and the beauty of new beginnings. The resolution of my story was not an end, but a new beginning. I had learned to navigate the challenges life threw at me, and I emerged stronger and more determined than ever. With Greg by my side, supportive friends and family, and a thriving business, I looked forward to the future with hope and optimism. As the sun set on the horizon, I whispered a silent thank you to the universe. For the lessons learned, the strength gained, and the love found. My journey had been difficult, but it had also been transformative. I was ready for whatever came next, confident that I could face any challenge with courage and grace. This was my story of betrayal and healing, of loss and discovery, of pain and triumph, and it was only the beginning. The future was bright, and I was ready to embrace it with an open heart and a fearless spirit.